Hi everyone, welcome to Beyond the Evidence. This is the channel where justice matters. My name is Marv. I am a true crime fanatic, and I love to dig deeper into the mysteries of unsolved cases. Join me as we search for missing persons, uncover the clues in unsolved murders, follow along with jury trials, and we'll be a voice for the voiceless. I'll share with you the facts, the theories, the clues, the evidence, and the controversies that surround these cases. This is Beyond the Evidence. Hello everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Evidence. Tonight we are going to talk about the Jennifer Crumbley trial. If you haven't been watching this, oh my goodness, there has been some fireworks. There's been a lot of yelling between the defense attorney and the prosecution. I don't know what the defense attorney is doing. Let me tell you, she's got her own way of defending a client, and you could almost call it incompetent. More to come on that. So, how is everyone doing tonight? I've got a poll out there. Take a look at it. I'm going to try to sugarcoat this in a way that YouTube will accept it. So bear with me, because we are under stringent guidelines now on YouTube on what we can say and what we can do. So if you don't know, Jennifer Crumbley is the mother of Ethan Crumbley from Michigan. Ethan went to Oxford High School, and he committed a slaying of 4 students at that high school. Now, he was arrested, he's been tried, he's been convicted. Pretty much life without parole. Okay. But for the first time ever, the parents of Ethan are being charged for his actions. Jennifer's trial is going on now. James's trial will be going on next month. Let me tell you, like I said, it has been interesting. Carly, Andrea, anybody else in the chat, have you been watching it? Have you been following what's happening? Just waiting to see if anybody says anything here. I am going to play some clips, short clips. I did start a Patreon. All of my trial stuff is on the Patreon, and we will be doing, I'm just trying to get the link so I can put it in the chat. We will be doing in-depth conversations and lives over there. So that we can actually talk normally. So there's the link for the Patreon. I made 2 tiers. $3, you can just support the channel monetarily. $5 gives you full access. So next week, Friday, is going to be the first live in the Patreon. So not this Friday, but next week Friday. And we're going to go in depth in this case and talk about what happened. So this started last Thursday? This trial started last Thursday, which is odd to start a trial on a Thursday, but okay, no problem. If you followed this case, you know that the prosecutor, the female prosecutor, is a pit bull. As far as I'm concerned, she is. She is all about those victims and their families and getting justice for them. And she had no qualms at all about bringing charges against these parents. So just want, I got an ad playing and I don't know why. Probably because I moved my mouse. So, okay. I just want to bring up some quick facts here, because that's one of the things that I like to do. And I'll tell you one thing. This prosecutor will flat out come out and tell the mother that she is guilty. And I find that kind of refreshing. I shouldn't say guilty, but she is responsible. I'm not sure. It says I've got other people on there just not chatting. So let me get... Okay, so what we know about the Michigan high school slaying. A 15-year-old student was charged with 4 counts of first-degree slayings and terrorism. His parents, both Jennifer and James Crumbley, face involuntary manslaughter charges. So on November 30th, there were 11 people that were wounded, or, well, I should say, it's hard to do this, you guys, with these new rules. So he took in his pew-pew in Michigan on November 30th and hurt 11 people. 4 students were slain and several others were left with critical and serious injuries. This 15-year-old was found at the school and was charged the following day. And like I said, he received life in prison with no possibility of parole. So this happened in 2021. Sorry about that. I gave you the month and the day, but not the year. So November 30th, 2021. So why are the parents on trial? Well, the parents are on trial because this student, their son, was definitely having mental health issues. Definitely. Throughout the trial, that is all brought up so far in the 3 days. The things that he said, the things that he wrote on his papers at school, and they didn't do anything about it. They didn't help their child in any way. But what they did do is they did go out and buy a 9mm semi-automatic weapon for him. It was his weapon. And that is what he used to commit these crimes. So he was charged as an adult for 24 crimes, including the slayings and terrorism, which is the first time in history that terrorism has been a charge in a situation like this. He pleaded guilty to all the charges in October of 2022, and December 8th, 2023, he was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 24 years. His parents were charged on December 3rd of 2021. So within days of this happening, the police and the prosecutors had enough information to where they knew they wanted to charge the parents. And the reason they're getting the involuntary manslaughter is for failing to secure the handgun used in the shooting and failing to appear for their arraignment, because they say they just went to a friend's house and were trying to figure out what to do, but the police actually believe they were running and trying to get away. So one of the things that we're going to talk to about tonight is a drill that's very common in a lot of schools today, and it's called the ATLAS drill. Alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. Basically, if you have children at home, you know what this is. All right. He's in an adult prison. So, like I said, if you have children, you know what the ATLAS drill is all about. Okay? It's the run, hide, fight. For my child at the middle school, I don't know what the high school is because I don't think they've had one yet this year. But when he was in middle school, they were taught to run. And it's not just down the road. You know, they were taught to run across the whole park, across the main road, and go into another park and go way down in there to a certain pavilion and to go there so that teachers could meet them there and count the kids. Oh, in UK, it's run, hide, tell. Interesting. That's interesting. So one of the things you're going to hear me talk about tonight is this ATLAS drill. It's very common. I mean, as you see, our YouTube user says it's even in UK. So it's all over the world. So we start with this trial, and I'm just going to see. I'm going to back it up just a little bit here. I'm going to show this clip. So let me get this added to our stage. This is one of the prosecuting attorneys, and he's doing the opening statement.
They didn't say anything about the fact that that firearm was identical to the 6-hour 9mm. Identical. They didn't mention how that gun was stored.
So if you're looking on the screen here, one of the things that happened is on the day that this happened, there were several incidents before it, but on the day that this happened in November, this student wrote on a math assignment. He had GUN on there, bullets, the words help me, all this kinds of stuff, okay? And the teacher caught him. She saw it. She took a picture of it. And she sent it to the principal. And then she went back and he had actually added other things to it. And she took the paper. And this is what's kind of started everything that day. And they actually, he drew it on his paper, on his math assignment. And they call him down to the office. The counselor spends an hour and a half with him. An hour and a half talking to him, trying to find out what his motivations are for this drawing. What's going on in his head? And he says, well, I'm a gamer and I like to draw these things because I would like to create video games. And the counselor's like, oh, interesting, so they're talking about that. And he's trying to gauge what is really going on with this child and really question him and things like that. The dad has not been tried. He will be tried next month. So this lands this child in the office. They call his parents. His parents come down. They're in the office together meeting for less than 12 minutes. Less than 12 minutes. And the mother's irritated. She had to leave work. The dad had to leave work. And the counselor is hoping that they'll take him home. Because as you'll see in the testimony, the counselor thinks that he's got, the S word, harming himself, ideations. And what that means is there's enough symptoms and triggers where the student could try to hurt himself. So they tell the parents that they want him in counseling immediately. Today, if possible. Put him in counseling today. And the mother says, oh, I gotta go back to work. The father says, I gotta go back to work. So we can't do that today, but we will. And because of what the counselor saw, he didn't push the fact to have the student leave the school. He didn't want the student to go home and be home alone and then do something to himself. So the parents let him stay because he wanted to be there. He wanted to be in school. And so the parents let him stay. The school didn't push to have them take him home. A couple hours later, this situation occurs. So let's see what the prosecutor has to say here, because
they didn't mention anything about his increased mental distress. You'll learn that after the meeting when they left, they didn't embrace him. You'll learn that their home is just down the road from the Oxford High School. They didn't stop by the house to look for the gun. You'll learn never once did they ask their son, where's the gun? They did nothing. They didn't do any number of tragically small and easy things that would have prevented all of this from happening. One thing will present itself during this trial is just how senseless November 30th was.
So as it's buffering here.
And that's because of all of the easy, ordinary things for someone to do that nobody did. What I just outlined to you is
it's going to be one of them nights. I can see it already. Okay, I paused it and let it buffer here for a minute. So what he's talking about is the parents know that their child has this gun. I said it. Oh well. Hopefully once it won't make a difference. They don't tell the school that he has one. The school has no idea. They think it's at home in a locked box, not a trigger lock on there. No trigger lock on there, just in a box. They think it's at home in this box. Nobody searches the kid, not the school, not the parents, nobody.
It's a snapshot of the evidence that will be presented in this case. You will hear the facts and the evidence from the witnesses. You will hear from between 20 and 25 of those witnesses.
25 witnesses.
Over 400 exhibits.
400 exhibits.
You're going to hear from witnesses who were in law enforcement. You're going to hear from individuals who work for Oxford High School. You're going to hear from people who knew Jennifer Crumbley in social situations, and those who worked with Jennifer Crumbley. You're going to hear from victims in this case as well.
Oh, and you do right away.
Those who are inside the school November the 30th. You're going to learn a little bit about the scope of the investigation. You'll learn that during this trial, the defendant's cell phone,
all right,
her husband's cell phone, and their son's cell phone were seized. They were all forensically analyzed. Through all of that data received.
But what you got to understand here is that it's not just one phone that was seized. Okay? They actually ended up having 3 phones. So initially, they each had their own cell phone. The police took those phones. Then they went and got track phones to use. And they realized that the track phones wouldn't work because when you go on your social media apps, what do you got to do? The 2-tier authentication. And if you're using a track phone, it's not going to take it. So they ended up having to go out and buy new phones for their plan. So they ended up with 3 phones each. And of course, the police confiscated most of them, probably all of them by the end. Yeah. Let's see what else.
In addition to data obtained through cell phone towers, social media search warrants, through information received through banking records, GPS pings.
So that's one other thing that I was going to talk about. This couple, this married couple who's been together many, many years, their primary way that they communicated was through Facebook Messenger. Not text, not phone calls, Facebook Messenger. So when he says they had to go and get the records and subpoena these records, he meant it. And in one conversation, there's 2,000 messages. We all know what it's like talking on Facebook Messenger. There's 2,000 just for one conversation. It's crazy.
Gun ranges, all this information we've presented to you, and you'll be able to obtain a digital footprint of the Crumbley family. And you'll get an idea, you'll get a view into the Crumbley life in the days, the weeks, the months preceding the shooting. You're also going to learn a little bit about the aftermath of the shooting.
And no, Andrea, I closed out my screen.
Specifically, you're going to see a pattern emerge in Jennifer Crumbley after the shooting on November 30th. That pattern will include and show you that she immediately began to downplay and downright lie about her level of knowledge of her son and that weapon and that drawing on November the 30th. This pattern will continue up until the time that she and her husband are found hiding from the police in Detroit. This pattern will show you that her first instinct was to lie, her second was to run. Now, the evidence will show you
He's getting to the part that I want you all
that
to
she didn't
hear.
pull the trigger, but she's responsible. But there is no claim that she gifted that firearm to her son knowing he was going to commit the attack. There's no claim that she wanted him to commit the attack. So how can she be held responsible when her son pulled the trigger? And the answer is,
Oh, this is frustrating.
she's not charged with murder. She's charged with involuntary manslaughter. You see, murder it's an intentional killing. Involuntary manslaughter, by definition, is unintentional. It's rooted in negligence. You've heard Judge Matthews tell you that every crime is made with something.
So that's what their basis is that it's involuntary because it was based off of negligence. Oh my goodness. This is the defense attorney. I'll let you listen to a little bit here. We're not going to listen to much because she drives me crazy.
I would, thank you. Your Honor, is it okay if I just move this?
Oh, you can move anything you want, just not stop. It's cords and stuff. So
I'm sorry, Sean, can you just help me? I'm gonna pull it just forward.
just record it.
And I'm gonna keep it to the side because I don't need it.
Okay.
I just have a few notes.
Sure. Good.
On problems that
All right, 1 second here. Okay, so I wanted you to get a look at this picture here. This is Jennifer Crumbley. Okay. When we look at other pictures of her, oh, she is more put together. You can tell that she has aged being in jail. So I just want to show you. The differences. Here we go. This is what she looked like when she first went to jail. Young, youthful, skin very nice, you know, decent looking woman. And now her hair's long, more gray. Her you could tell that prison is not being nice to her. Jail's not being nice to her. Oh,
On
come
my
on.
way to court today, I blasted Taylor Swift to warm up my voice and calm my nerves. And there was a line in one of her songs that summarized what this case is about. Band-Aids don't stop bullet holes. And that's what this case is about. It's about the prosecution attempting to put a Band-Aid on problems that can't be fixed with a Band-Aid. The prosecution has charged Jennifer Crumbley with involuntary manslaughter.
That's all I can take of her, you guys. She didn't even get the line from Taylor Swift's song right. That's the sad part. She didn't. And her actions throughout the trial so far are crazy. I can see my internet's acting up, and that's why all the videos, and I'm freezing up here. Okay. We're going to do the best we can and move on. So after opening statements, the first witness was a teacher. I should say an educational. She was a teacher, and then she had a different position. I just want you to hear the beginning of her testimony.
Where
Already it.
your profession.
Yes.
That's already been a ruling by the court. I just have to continue my objection.
Okay, so this was ruled on previously.
Yes.
Correct.
All right, so 7 was already admitted in the written opinion.
It was, Judge.
Okay.
I just have to maintain my objection.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
For the record, that is a portion of the Oxford High School surveillance footage.
And for the record, we just think it's not necessary.
All right.
So they're fighting over a video. That the prosecution plans on showing.
Could you raise your right hand? You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God? Yes. Okay, you can be seated. And then, could you state your name for the record, spell your first and last name?
My name is Molly Darnell, Molly Darnell.
Go ahead, prosecutor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to call you Molly. I assume that's okay.
That's okay.
Okay. Molly, can you tell the jury what your profession is?
I'm an educator.
Where is it? Are you a teacher?
I am a teacher.
Okay.
That's what an educator
Who
is.
your employer?
Oxford schools.
Okay. How long have you been in? How long have you worked for Oxford schools?
I started working for Oxford in the fall of '98.
So she's been with that
Your
school
entire
system
career?
a long time.
Entire career.
Okay. And you stayed in that one school district.
Correct.
Okay. Your current position is what?
I work for Oxford Virtual Academy.
All right. And when did you begin that position?
I began that position 18 months ago.
I'm going to take you back to November 30th, 2021. Can you tell the jury what your
Okay, so I'm gonna just mute it and let you see it. Molly's story is this. She was in what was a classroom. They divided it into 2 rooms and made it into 2 offices. She's in her classroom. She's talking to some other educators, and passing time starts to happen. That's what they call in between classes, okay? Where the students are in the hallway and they're getting ready to go to their next class and they're going to the bathroom or doing whatever else they have to do. Excuse me. One of her students stops in and starts talking to her. So they're talking for a few minutes and then that student leaves. She decides passing time's almost over. So she's going to go to her computer, check her emails, get things, look at a couple things before the next class starts. She can hear students running in the hallway all of a sudden. And it's not normal. It's not normal at all.
Classes began that morning. What was the schedule of the day?
Okay, so they're still talking about the schedule and everything. So she sees children running down the hallway. She knows it's not right. She's kind of confused. She goes towards the door, and that's when the announcement comes over. The loudspeaker by the principal. She closes the door. You'll hear what she describes. There's a gadget that they put underneath the door so that nobody can open it from the outside, even if they were to have a key. She's looking at this. She's got her door closed. She's looking at this gadget because some of them they're not all the same. So she's looking at it and she looks up and she sees the shooter through the pane glass window in the door. And she locks eyes with him. She turns, and as she turns, she said she felt a wet spot and a burning sensation on her arm. I'm trying to get to that point in the testimony so that you can hear that.
Proposed Exhibit 5. I don't believe there's an objection, Your Honor.
That's
When I-
correct, Your Honor.
When I say I'm going to show you, it's going to be on this screen, on this screen. Time of about 12.
Okay, so they have this yellow map that they use for the first two witnesses. It's a layout of the school. Basically, they can show you where they are in the school there.
What did you do?
I exited my office. I believe that there was possibly a fight.
Okay, this is where she starts
So
explaining.
I run out of my office. I'm about midway through where 222 is. And I see all those kids exiting out of door 4. So I know there's not a fight.
So if you look at the map, you come out of your classroom and you look down the hallway and they're all running out of the school.
Yeah, on a door 4.
Okay, and that was unusual.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes, I had never seen that before.
All right. And then what happened?
I paused for a second because I'm thinking like, well, what's going on, right? I don't know what's happening. I head back into my office space. The hallway is completely clear. And I walk into my office and I'm like, all right, what could possibly be happening in this moment?
Was it unusual for the hallway to be completely clear?
I don't believe the bell had rung yet, so that was unusual.
Okay. And so what did you do?
It was in pausing, trying to like gather what to do next. I heard 3 things pretty quickly together, like so quickly together that I have a hard time distinguishing what came first and what came last. But there were the sounds of like 3 like loud pops that I could have mistaken for lockers closing if we were using lockers.
Okay. So when you heard the 3 pops, what did you think that sound was?
Well, again, there was doors started slamming. I could hear like boom, 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 boom. And then the principal at the time, Steve Wolf, came over to the PA and said, we're heading into lockdown. This is not a drill.
And how long had you known Steve?
So a couple years at that point in time.
Okay. Did his voice sound panicked?
His voice sounded, it was like urgent, but you could tell he was like tempering any, like panic.
So was that before the loud pops or after, if you can remember?
Honestly, I cannot remember.
Okay. When you heard this, was your door open or closed?
My door, when I came back in, I pulled it, but it didn't shut. So it was open a couple inches.
Okay. So what did you do?
At that point in time, I moved to shut my door.
Did you, after the pop, did you smell anything?
No,
Did you see anything?
no.
All right. Then you tell the jury what happened when you turned around and headed to the door.
So I walked to the door. I immediately pull it shut. To the left of my door. So my door was here and there was a glass part, floor to ceiling glass. And then right here was a night lock system.
Can you tell the jury what a night lock system is?
So a night lock is a simple gadget that goes into the door that goes into the floor so that if the door were unlocked, it's like a second security measure. If the door was not locked, or even if it was, someone can't get in. So if the glass is shut out, even if they were trying to undo the door, they can't open the door.
And when did you learn about night locks?
Maybe 4 years prior.
Okay. Did you do that? Well, why did you install the night lock?
Well, one, I was directed that we're in lockdown,
Okay.
right? So as soon as I knew that we're in lockdown, that's what you do.
Were you able to install the night lock?
So I grabbed the night lock, I undid the piece, grabbed it, and looked down at it. So I also, some of the doors have different installs, whether the door goes, in or out from the room. And so I looked at it to see, just to remind myself which one, because the other office that I have at the middle school, or had at the middle school at the time, had a different.
At this point, Molly, the door is shut or closed?
The door is shut.
Are you facing the door or facing
I'm
away?
facing the door, so I'm close enough to that wall because I had just grabbed it.
Do you know about what the distance was between you and that door?
Not even a foot.
Okay. And then what happened?
I look at it, and out of my peripheral vision, I can see some sort of movement. And so I look up, and I see someone dressed in dark, oversized clothing.
And you're looking through that glass
Looking
pane
through that glass
next
pane.
to your door. Okay.
They have the mask on, a hat, glasses, and a hood. And I lock eyes with them.
Had you ever seen that person before?
I had not, no.
Did you know if it was a student or is that a no?
I did not know if it was a student.
All right. And you said you locked eyes?
I locked eyes. And then instantly I noticed, I see some movement. And so I look down and I realize he's raising a gun to me.
Okay. Can you describe?
Yeah, the gun was black, and I remember thinking, as he's raising the gun to me, that there was no orange tip. I'd heard prior that BB guns have an orange tip.
When you say he was raising the gun, can you explain what that looked like? Was it one arm or two arms?
Well, I just saw the one starting to move up. I saw the gun, and I moved.
Which way did you move?
I moved away from the glass partition, away from the door, toward back into the room.
Okay. You just described you saw something in your peripheral vision. You looked up. You locked eyes.
I locked eyes. He didn't hesitate.
About how long was that from the time you saw the peripheral vision and then the gun was raised?
A second.
Okay.
If that.
When you locked eyes with this individual, what did you see?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Describe that for me.
I lock eyes with him and I instantly see that movement. And I jump to the side.
What happened after you jumped to the side?
As I jump, I can.
And was did you ever get the night lock installed at that
The
point?
night lock is not installed at this point.
Okay.
So when I move, I kind of jump and turn my body this way at the same time.
Okay, and for the record, you're motioning, turning your
Yeah.
shoulders to the right.
To the right. And I feel like my left shoulder moves back a bit and I feel a burn like hot water had stung me.
Where did you feel that?
In my arm,
Which arm?
in my left.
All right, everybody. So I'm gonna let this play, but I just want to talk to you a little bit about what she's saying and what's happening here. You got to remember that when something like this happens in real time, when it's happening in very quick succession. But to the person, it's all like in slow motion. And you can tell that by the way that she's describing what's happening. She's stating, we locked eyes. I saw the motion of the hand come up. I jumped and turned to the right. She's trying to get out of the way of that window. Feels her left shoulder go back. And then the burning sensation, feeling like hot water. This is what her office looked like. This is what they're showing. And the trajectory here of what's happening. So what does this teacher do after this happens? She gets that night lock on the door. She's able to put it on there, and she's terrified. She's trying to get a filing cabinet, move it in front of the door. She can't do that, so she gets a cart over by the door, trying to block it in case he comes back. She gets the night guard on there. She goes back to the filing cabinet, and she gets like behind it. She scoots it away from the wall, and she gets behind it, and she's cowering behind this filing cabinet. She texts her husband, "I love you, school, pew pew." She's texting with another teacher next door. She's not telling anybody around her that she's been injured until she talks to the teacher right next door. She finally tells that teacher that she's been injured. They get a hold of the principal. The principal comes running down with the police. They get to the room. Now, they cannot get in the room. She has to undo the night guard and let them in the door. And the next thing that they show is that they have her and they're running down the hallway with her outside and getting her attention for her wound. While she's behind that filing cabinet, she knows that she's bleeding. So she takes her sweater off and she's wrapping it and tying it with her teeth and her one good hand to try to put as much pressure on it to stop that. All you have to do is look. You don't even have to hear what she says. All you have to do is look at her body language, and you know she was terrified and in fear for her life. The second witness, oh, okay. So here she does show her injury on her arm. If we thought that testimony was emotional, it's nothing compared to the next individuals. One of the things that they did do is they did show some videos, and one of the videos that they did show is this Miss Darnell, and it shows her, the police running down to her doorway, getting her out of the room and bringing her down the hallway to get her outside to get medical help. And I'll just let you take a look at that here real quick once they start it up. So you can see the police are down there. They're congregating. They're at the entrance of her room. Some are still walking down there. That's what they're highlighting in the scope here. And then they should hit play here. There we go. And then all of a sudden you see her come walking out. It's very quick. It's a very short video. But these are the things that they are showing the jury. Here we go. This one is a little bit better. It shows her walking out. So the next one, the next individual to testify. Okay, so before we go there, I'm going to pause this. This is the trajectory of the bullets. If you can imagine, she's standing behind this door, and this is the window, you know, and she sees him. He shoots through this door. Where do you think that's going to be? Chest, stomach area, head area? It's a good thing that she jumped out of the way and turned. Otherwise, she probably would have been more seriously injured. This lady. This is the lady that I want you all to remember. There's one in every single one of these situations. You have men and women at these schools. And we've heard heroic stories of men and what they do in these situations. But to me, this woman is extra heroic. This is the assistant principal of the school. Before this, she was a principal of one of the elementary schools. She says she likes to go and check out the senior area outside because they congregate there and she can go and talk to them. So she's heading out to this area and she gets to the point in the hallway where it splits to the right and it splits to the left. And this kid, this boy, comes running past her, laughing, and says, "Get the hell out of here." And she's like, Well, that was kind of odd. Why would he tell me to get out of here? But he's laughing and, all of that. That doesn't make sense at all. And then a group of kids come running past her and they go out the exit door, but they're also laughing. So she can't figure out what is going on. She picks up her walkie-talkie and she's like, there's kids running through the hallway. And then she's got more kids running past her, but they're not laughing. Their faces are serious. They've got panic on them. They're frightened. She knows something's going on. And they run out the door. Then on the loudspeaker system, they call the Alice drill. That's what I was talking to you guys about earlier. She knows that this is not a drill, that this is the real thing, and that she is supposed to take cover. We're going to listen to a good portion of her testimony because I want you to hear what she does.
Part of the alphabet. Big goal is, like, to me, my biggest role is the hallway from the commons, what says commons, I call it cafeteria, by the media center, by the courtyard, and hit the 500 room. When I kind of got to that triangle there, that diamond there, one of the students that I know pretty well went running by and said, "Get the hell out of here." And he was laughing and running, and I was like, that was a mixed message.
Sure. At that point, was there an announcement on the loudspeaker?
No, not at that point, no.
Was he the only one running?
Shortly after him, there was a group of kids laughing and running behind him. When I stopped to ask them what was going on, they weren't entirely sure. But as kids started to pass, you could see it got more serious.
Okay.
I grabbed my walkie-talkie and I
What do you mean it got more serious? What do you mean by that?
their faces got more, I'm sorry, their faces became more serious.
Did that signify something to you when you saw that?
Yeah, just something, them running signified something to me because it's not a typical behavior.
Okay.
But the running and laughing was confusing. And then when their faces became more serious, I was started to get very worried. And that's when I grabbed my walkie-talkie.
What'd you do with your walkie-talkie?
I said, I'm not sure what's happening, but kids are running in the hallway, which is very odd. And looks like they're trying to leave the building.
So where did you go?
They shortly after I got on the walkie, they went to Alice Alert. And so
What's the Alice Alert?
Alice Alert is our intruder. I'm going to call it intruder alert because that's what it was that day. But it's a notice that we need to take cover, lock down, be aware. It's an emergency assistance.
Or is that somebody who's giving a message over the PA system?
On that day, it was a message over PA system.
Do you recall who gave that message?
Steve Wolf.
Who was that?
Steve is our principal.
He's the principal. Okay. So is this shortly after you saw the students leaving that appeared to be more serious to you?
Practically the same. Yeah, it was like they went, when the more serious students came by, the announcement went on.
Okay. Now, when you hear that announcement, what were you supposed to do?
I'm supposed to lock down.
Did you?
No.
What did you do?
I went to check the hallways to make sure people were okay.
When you first started to check the hallways, did you see anybody?
The hallways cleared so fast. When I made the turn down the 400 hallway, I ran into a teacher who was locking his door. And then a student came up who was running late. He asked if it was a drill. I let him know that it didn't matter if it was a drill or not. Just, you got to take cover, get in there. And then I proceeded down the hallway. I was the only one in the hallway at that point.
Did you hear anything?
First,
So I think you all know where I'm going with this. What does she he asked her, "What are you supposed to do once you hear that announcement?" And you could see it on her. I'm supposed to lock down. Did you? No, she didn't. She knew she wasn't going to go in lockdown in a classroom. She was going to make sure that people were okay and help people if she could. So she started walking down the hallways. Brave, brave woman. You'll hear more in a minute.
I smelled something. I smelled what I thought was cap gun. Later figured out was gunpowder. And then I heard two gunshots.
Where were you when you first smelled what you thought to be cap gun?
Probably by like the somewhere between 409 and 414.
So you were continuing to walk down that hallway, the 400 hallway, towards the 200 hallway. That's in yellow highlight.
Yes, that's where I heard the gunshots. I was going that direction.
You were walking towards the gunshots.
Yes.
As you walked down the hallway, did you see anybody else?
No.
Tell me where you went.
When I got to the end of the hallway, I realized how dumb this is. I turned left to go towards where I heard the gunshots.
So this hallway.
And I went towards 225.
So you came down the 400 hallway, you turned left towards 225.
Yes.
Tell us what you saw when you made a left.
I saw a student laying on the ground.
Did you know who he was?
I didn't at that time, no. His face was covered. And then as I continued a couple of steps, I could see another student walking my direction. He had just dropped his arm was up and then he dropped his arm.
Did you recognize him?
Not at that point, no. He was too far away.
What did you do when you saw a student on the ground?
There was a garbage can between he and I, so I moved the garbage can out of the way and I put my foot near him and nudged him and told him to stay there.
Did he respond?
No.
Could you tell if he was injured at that point?
You could tell he was injured.
What happened next?
Ethan then came into closer view and I could tell it was Ethan.
He had been at the school where you were principal?
Yes.
Did you interact with him at all at Oxford High School?
Just normal, like how I interact with everybody. High fives, hugs, silly stuff that I do.
Okay.
I brought my elementary to the high school, so I just
Did you say anything to him?
When he got close enough to me that we were sharing the hallway, so he was kind of walking down the center and I was kind of over to the side, so we're probably 3 feet apart. I asked him if he's okay. It just didn't seem right that it would be him.
So I need to back up just a little bit. When you didn't know who it was at first, a student down the hallway, you said he had lowered his arm.
I knew it was a shooter when he was down the hallway.
Okay. Could you see if he was holding anything?
I could see a gun.
At that point, was he walking towards you or away from you?
He's walking towards me. It was when I realized it was Ethan that I didn't think he could possibly be the shooter is what happened. Like I know I said I knew he was a shooter down there because I could rationalize that is a gun. He is putting that gun down. He just shot something.
Okay. Now, I know this is difficult, but I need you to use your teacher voice and speak
Okay.
as loud as you can. You saw him coming towards you. How far from him were you when you recognized who it was?
He was probably by the room 220 when I could tell who he was.
Okay.
And I was standing between, well, between 226 and that white section there that, yeah. There's exit doors there.
Now, you said you said something to him?
Yeah, it seems so odd that it was him. So I said, buddy, are you okay? What's going on? And when he didn't respond to me and he looked away, that's when I knew it was him, that he was the shooter.
Did he point?
Imagine that. You bravely are walking down a hallway, going towards a situation, knowing that you could be seriously hurt. You find one of your students laying on the floor. She nudged him. She didn't want to say it, but she knew that that student was gone. She looks up, sees an individual. She knows that's the bad guy. And he comes walking towards her. Can you imagine how terrified she must have been? And yet she remained calm and said, "Hey, buddy, are you okay?" Thankfully, he didn't acknowledge her. He just kept walking. She gets on the walkie-talkie. She lets the principal know that she has a victim and eyes on the shooter. And he's asking, "Where are you? Where are you?" And she tells him she's remaining calm, but her brain is going so fast, she can't put certain things together. So she tells him, "I'm in the 400 hall." And he's like, "That's a large hall. You have to be a little bit more specific than that." And she gives him a better location, or tries to. They find her in the hall there. Now, she has not left this student's side that is laying on the ground, because she went back to him. She realized who he was, and she has not left his side. The principal is halfway down the hallway. She takes some steps away from the student laying on the ground. She says to him, "It's Ethan," tells him which way he went, and then she goes right back to that student. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could walk down those hallways knowing what I was going towards, and then to turn the corner and see a student there, and then down the hallway see the individual with the weapon, and keep calm while they're walking towards me. I would like to think I could, but I don't know for sure. It's tough. It's tough, but you always have people like her that rise to the occasion, that don't go and run away or hide. They go right for the danger to protect everyone around them, or try to protect everyone around them. This is heartbreaking to listen to from all. Yes, it is, Bossy. It absolutely is. She was there was a number of students who were at the elementary school that she was the principal of, and then they all came to the high school together. Yeah, we do. So this part of the video, I'm actually going to stop it. I'm not going to show it. We will talk about this portion of the video on our Patreon live, because what they do is they play a video of her movements through the hallways, finding the student, seeing him, have him walk by her, all that. We don't get to see it. We just get to see her reaction on the witness stand. And that's how day one ends. Day two was a lot of exhibits. They bring on a gentleman who talks about all of the messages from Facebook. And the fact that a lot of these messages are from Jennifer to James, and they're all about the horses. She's got 2 horses, and she's always worried about these horses and has to go spend time with these horses and everything. And by looking at all these messages about the horses, the prosecution is putting on a pattern, right? And then they do show conversations about the son in those messages. It's not that many compared to the horses. And that's what the prosecution's trying to tell you. But there's some conversations that she has with other people regarding her son, and the things that she knew and heard, and basically didn't do anything about. There's conversations about what happened afterwards and how they were being threatened. And she couldn't go home. She couldn't go buy her horses. And there's a conversation that she has with a friend of hers about her son. We're going to look at all that in the Patreon live. Definitely. And that went on for quite a while. Now, here's the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway of the second day. The prosecution's on it. They're asking questions, everything, right? This defense attorney, she's been an attorney for a while, but she has trouble with technology. Okay? She doesn't like to use the technology to bring up the exhibits. And the prosecution's objecting, saying if she's going to question this witness about this, she needs to bring up the exhibit on the screen so that he can see it. So she asked him, will you just let me know if you want to see it? And if you want to see it, I'll put it up. Yeah, I want to see it, he says. So then she's all frustrated. All frustrated. But let me back up real quick. After the assistant principal gets done, during her testimony, especially when they play this video, you hear sobbing, uncontrollable sobbing, and it's coming from Jennifer Crumbley. And after the assistant principal gets done with her testimony, the defense attorney stands up and says, we need a break. We need a break. My client needs a break. You know, we just need a break. We need to get out of here for a few minutes. So the judge grants him a break. Now, when they come back, there's an altercation between the prosecution and the defense. Oh, let me back up before that. While she was having issues with this technology, with her laptop and these exhibits, she blurts out, I'm just going to kill myself. Oh, yeah, you heard me. She said it. And she said it loud. So when they come back from this break, the prosecution is just fit to be tied. You know, they've already, after the first break, they've already objected to the judge for not only the Jennifer Crumbley, but the attorney crying during testimony, because they're all supposed to keep it together and they're not supposed to show emotion to get a leg up or anything, either side. And the prosecution wanted it to be fair. Their team was trying extremely hard not to get emotional. However, the defense over there is getting emotional, and the defense attorney jumps up, not the woman, the man. We've never seen this video before. We've never seen this video before. And then she starts in. And we didn't want this played anyways, and we didn't want the people to have to go through this all over again. And it's just a mess. It's just a mess. Then at the end of the day, you have the prosecution went off on her about the whole, I want to blank myself, and objected with the judge. And she's like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. You know I didn't mean it like that. And the woman prosecutor is like, do you know how many text messages we received from victims as soon as we went on break after you said that? You may not have meant it, but it means something to them. It means something to every single one of these family members and victims. Let me tell you, it gets heated between these two. And they're yelling at each other. You can go out there and see the clips of it. It's crazy. And the judge finally, at the end of the day, it is so heated and battled between the prosecution and the defense. She tells them to just go home. Have a drink, relax, go home. That's how bad it was. And I wish that on this platform, on YouTube, I could tell you so much more about what happened in these 2 days and show you a lot more video. But with the new guidelines that YouTube has, I can't do that. I probably shouldn't have shown you some of what I did show you because they used certain words that YouTube doesn't like. But we'll get around that in the future. Oh, Bossy, yeah. Watch some clips or go to the Patreon and I've got the actual full trial on there on the Patreon. And let me tell you, it's interesting watching it. It is so interesting watching it. And this defense attorney is so disorganized. And the way she asks questions, she trips herself up. That's how bad it is. I would not be surprised if somebody, said that she had incompetent lawyer and gets a retrial or something. That's how bad this defense lawyer is. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And at the end of the week here, we're going to talk about days 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because day 3 opens with a whopper, and you'll see why I call this attorney incompetent. And even the analysts on the channel that I listen to say the same thing. It's kind of funny. So that's all for tonight for days 1 and 2 of the Jennifer Crumbley trial. Lots of things happening with Delphi. I will be getting back online here tomorrow or Thursday to give you updates on Delphi. We have so many trials coming up this next month. Adam Montgomery, sweet, beautiful Harmony Montgomery. That trial starts the first week of February. We have the boy in the box. His mother's trial is supposed to start, I believe, in February. Today, we had the hearing for Alex Murdaugh versus the county clerk, Becky Hill, and he was trying to get a retrial. And today, that was denied by the judge. But that's just the first step. We know he's going to appeal it, so we'll have to see what happens when he takes that to the appellate court. So there's a lot of things coming up. But more importantly, Wednesday, join me. We have Andrea Delph, the moderator here. Her and her family are coming on. You know, a lot of what we talk about is unalivings by people in horrendous ways. Well, one of the ways that you can unalive somebody and be held responsible is via an automobile. And you will hear Andrea's story. You'll get to know her brother, Jared. And not only will Andrea be here, but her mom and her sister will be here also. So I'm hoping you join me in listening to Jared's story also. And that'll be on Wednesday, but it's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern instead of 8 p.m. Eastern. So look forward to that on Wednesday and some pre-recorded videos, just short 15, 20-minute videos with updates on Delphi and any of the other cases I've been following. All right, everyone, I will talk to you later, and I will see you Wednesday. Thanks for joining me. Bye. Thank you for watching Beyond the Evidence. Today, I gave you my own opinions and analysis, but I always encourage you to do your own research, inform your own conclusions. If you're interested in true crime and want to join me on this journey of discovery, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of my uploads. If you'd like to support the channel, join our membership. And if you have any suggestions for cases that you want me to cover, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. And remember, justice matters. This is Beyond the Evidence. And I'll see you in the next video.